Welcome back to the channel where we talk about coins that could change your life. If you love stories of ordinary coins turning into extraordinary treasures, then you're in for something special today. Rarest coins today. We're diving into one of the most exciting and surprising coins in American history, the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin you've probably seen or even spent without a second thought. But did you know that one rare version of this coin has sold for an unbelievable $1.9 million? Yes, you heard that right. A simple quarter from 1965, almost 60 years old, became a coin collector's dream and fetched a staggering $1.9 million at auction. So, what makes this coin so special? How can you identify one? What errors and secrets lie behind this ordinary-looking piece of change? Make sure you stick around to the end, because we'll cover everything you need to know, including how to check if you have one of these rare coins in your collection. Let's get started. History of the Washington quarter. First, let's talk a bit about the Washington quarter itself. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design on the front or obverse of the coin features the left-facing profile of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. For decades, the coin remained mostly the same. It became a staple of American currency, easy to recognize, and widely circulated. The reverse side of the coin up until 1998 showed an eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace. But the year 1965 marked a massive turning point in United States coinage. Why 1965 was so important to understand why the 1965 Washington quarter is so fascinating. You have to understand what was happening in the country at the time. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. That made them not just currency, but also a form of stored wealth. But in the early 1960s, silver prices were rising fast, and the value of the silver in coins began to exceed the face value of the coins themselves. People started hoarding silver coins, melting them down, and the U.S. government was facing a serious coin shortage. In response, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from the quarter and dime entirely. Starting that year, from 1965 on, quarters were made of a copper-nickel clad composition, which gave them a silver color, but without any actual silver content. This change created a very specific transition period, and that is where the story of the rare 1965 quarter begins. The rare and valuable 1965 quarter. So, what exactly makes a 1965 quarter worth $1.9 million? The answer lies in a rare minting error during the transition from silver to clad planchets or coin blanks. A small number of 1,965 quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets left over from 1964. These silver planchets were not supposed to be used anymore, but somehow a few slipped through the cracks at the mint. These error coins look nearly identical to the regular 1965 clad quarters, but they have one major difference: they are made of 90% silver. That alone would make them extremely rare and valuable. But one particular 1965 quarter was not only struck on a silver planchet, it was also in absolutely pristine condition, graded as a near-perfect mint. Stated became one of the finest known examples of this error. Collectors went wild for it, and in a record-breaking private sale, this unique 1965 silver quarter sold for a staggering $1.9 million. How to identify the rare 1965 silver quarter? Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. How do you know if you have a rare and valuable 1965 quarter in your hands? There are a few ways to check. First, the easiest way is to look at the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters have a visible copper-colored layer on the edge. If your 1965 quarter has a solid silver edge with no copper line, then you might have a silver planchet error. Second, you can weigh the coin. A regular copper-nickel clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but a silver quarter from 1964 or a 1965 error struck on a silver planchet weighs about 6.25 grams. That small difference can help confirm whether your coin might be silver. You'll need a precise digital scale to do this correctly, and preferably one that measures to the hundredth of a gram. Third, get your coin examined by a professional. If you suspect that your 1965 quarter might be silver or contains another type of mint error, do not clean it and do not attempt to modify it in any way. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can verify the composition and give you an official grade, which is essential for determining the coin's true value. Other valuable errors from 1965. It's not just silver planchet errors that can make 1965 quarters valuable. There are other rare and collectible errors as well some 1965. Quarters were struck with misaligned dies, creating double images or off-center strikes. Others were struck on the wrong planchets, such as dimes or foreign coins. These minting mistakes are all extremely rare and can fetch thousands of dollars, depending on condition and rarity. Even high-grade regular 1965 quarters with no errors can be worth serious money if they are in mint state condition, especially those graded MS 67 or higher by top grading companies. These coins are nearly flawless and are highly prized by collectors. Why the 1965 quarter is a collector's dream? The 1965 Washington quarter is a coin that sits at a unique moment in history. It marked the end of the silver era, the beginning of modern coinage, and it was surrounded by confusion and transition at the United States Mint. That environment allowed for mistakes to happen, and those mistakes are now worth serious money. The combination of history, rarity, and mystery makes this coin one of the most exciting pieces in American numismatics. Whether you're a serious collector or just someone who checks their change for fun, the 1965 quarter should be on your radar. Final thoughts. So, to wrap it all up, most 1965 Washington quarters are only worth face value, but a rare few, with the right combination of mint errors, silver content, and condition, can be worth hundreds, thousands, and even up to $1.9 million. Check your coin jars. Look through old rolls of quarters at the bank. Examine the edges. Weigh your coins and keep your eyes open for anything unusual. You never know what might be hiding in your pocket change. If you found this video helpful or fascinating, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more coin stories, tips, and updates on valuable finds. Until next time, happy hunting, and may you find your own $1 million quarter. Let me know if you want me to help turn this into subtitles for video editing, or if you want versions for short videos like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. Welcome back to the channel, where we turn ordinary coins into unbelievable stories. Rarest coins. Today we're diving into a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket right now, the 1967 Washington quarter. Now, at first glance, this coin might not seem special. It looks like every other quarter you've used to buy a coffee or feed a parking meter, but don't be fooled, because one rare version of this very coin has been valued at a jaw-dropping $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 25-cent piece from 1967 sold for over $1.5 million. And the craziest part, it might still be out there waiting to be discovered. In this video, we're going to explore the story behind the 1967 quarter, why it's so important, what rare errors make it so valuable, and how you can tell if the one you're holding could be worth a fortune. Let's get started. The history of the Washington quarter. To understand the value of the 1967 quarter, we need to look back at where it all began. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 as a tribute to George Washington on his 200th birthday. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse shows Washington's profile, while the reverse featured the classic eagle perched on a bundle of arrows. From 1932 through 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver, making them not only useful as currency, but valuable for their metal content as well. But by the mid-1960s, silver prices were skyrocketing. People began hoarding silver coins and melting them down. The government was facing a serious coin shortage. In response, the U.S. Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed all silver from the quarter. Starting in that year, from 1965 onward, quarters were made from a copper-nickel clad composition. The new coins still had a silvery appearance, but they contained no silver at all. By 1967, America was deep into this new era of coinage, and the mint was still adjusting to the changes. That transition period led to some very rare and very valuable errors. Why 1967 quarters can be so valuable? Most 1967 quarters are worth just face value, but there are a few that are truly extraordinary, and here's where the $1 million story begins. During this time, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different processes to improve coin production. Quality control was tight, but not perfect, and that led to a few rare minting errors and transitional mistakes that slipped through the cracks. One specific error version of the 1967 Washington quarter turned out to be incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. In fact, it's so rare that only a handful of examples are known to exist, and one of those coins was in such pristine condition, so perfectly struck and preserved, that it stunned collectors. When it came to auction, it eventually sold for an incredible $1.7 million. So what made it so special? The rare 1967 quarter errors that made history. There are several types of errors from 1967 that can bring major value to a Coin first, the most famous and most valuable are those quarters that were mistakenly struck on silver planchets left over from 1964. These transitional errors are extremely rare because silver quarters were not supposed to be struck after 1964, but a few silver blanks made their way into the presses and created these hybrid coins. The easiest way to spot them is by checking the edge. A clad quarter has a visible copper core along the edge. A silver coin does not. If you find a 1967 quarter with a completely silver edge and it weighs more than normal, you might be holding a silver error worth tens of thousands or even more. The second kind of valuable error involves off-metal strikes. Some 1967 quarters were struck on dime planchets or even foreign coin blanks. These coins often look smaller than normal or have incomplete designs because the planchet was the wrong size. The third type is known as a double die error, where parts of the design, especially the date or letters, appear slightly doubled. Under magnification, these are also rare and collectible, and depending on the severity and condition, they can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars. But the most valuable 1967 quarter ever discovered combined multiple unusual characteristics. It was a silver planchet error struck with perfect precision, had no circulation wear, and was graded at the highest mint state level. It's one of a kind, and that's why it sold for $1.7 million. How to check your 1967 quarter now. Let's talk about how you can check your own 1967 quarters to see if you've got something valuable. Step 1. Check the edge. Look closely at the side of the coin. If you see a solid silver color with no copper strip, you may have a silver planchet error. Step 2. Weigh the coin. A normal clad 1967 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs around 6.25 grams. If your coin is heavier than normal, that's a major clue. Step 3. Look for striking errors like off-center designs, missing letters, or odd shapes. These could point to a wrong planchet or misaligned strike. Step 4. Examine the lettering and numbers for signs of doubling. A double die error could increase the value of your coin dramatically. If you spot anything unusual, the best thing to do is to send your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and assign it a grade, which is essential for determining its value. And remember, never clean your coins. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce the value significantly. Always handle them carefully, especially if you suspect you might be holding something rare. Other valuable 1967 quarters. Even if your 1967 quarter isn't worth millions, some high-quality examples with no errors can still be valuable. Mint state coins graded MS66 or higher have sold for over $1,000 just based on condition alone. That's because most quarters from this era went straight into circulation and very few survived in flawless condition. If you find a quarter with a sharp strike, strong details, and little to no where, it might be worth submitting for grading, even without an error. Final thoughts. The story of the 1967 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something small and ordinary can become a treasure worth a fortune thanks to minting errors, transitional strikes, and collector demand. One of these humble coins sold for a life-changing $1.7 million. So check your coin jars, look through your old change rolls, search for those clues. The right coin might be closer than you think. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more incredible coin stories and collecting tips. Until next time, keep hunting and good luck finding your $1 million coin. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a YouTube short script or formatted for a voiceover narrator. Welcome back to the channel where we explore some of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever discovered. Rarest coins. Today we're diving into the story of a coin that has shocked collectors around the world, a regular-looking 1992 Washington quarter with a P mint mark that ended up selling for an unbelievable $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1.2 million for a single quarter. That's 25 cents, turning into a small fortune. So what makes this coin so special? How can a simple quarter become one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history? And how can you check if you might have one hiding in your pocket change? Make sure you watch all the way to the end, because we'll break down the history, the unique features, the error that made it so valuable, and how you can identify this rare treasure yourself. Let's get started. History of the Washington quarter. First, let's take a quick look at the history of the Washington quarter. This iconic coin was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The obverse or front of the coin features a portrait of Washington himself, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Originally, the Washington quarter was intended to be a one-year commemorative coin, but it became so popular it was kept in circulation permanently. The reverse side of the coin featured an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, with olive branches underneath representing strength and peace. This classic design was used until 1998 when the U.S. Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program. Starting in 1999, the 1992 Washington quarter falls within this pre-statehood era, and while most of these coins are worth face value, one particular version of the 1992p quarter is anything but ordinary. The mystery of the 1992p quarter. Now, let's focus on the coin that blew everyone's minds, the 1992 Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, which is identified by the small p mint mark on the obverse. At first glance, it looks completely normal, just another quarter you'd find in your change jar. But here's the catch. In 1992, a very small number of these coins were accidentally struck using a proof reverse die. So, what does that mean? Normally, proof coins are specially made for collectors. They're struck with polished dies that create extra sharp detail and a mirror-like finish. These are not meant for general circulation and are usually minted in San Francisco, but somehow in 1992, a proof reverse die made its way into the production line at the Philadelphia Mint. This resulted in a tiny number of regular circulation quarters being struck with the reverse design of a proof coin. This combination of a regular obverse and a proof reverse is incredibly rare. It created what's now known in the coin world as the 1992p close AM quarter. What is the close AM error? Here's where things get really specific and really valuable. On most regular quarters, the letters A and M in the word America on the back of the coin are spaced slightly apart, but on proof coins, those same letters are much closer together, almost touching. This detail is almost impossible to notice unless you're really looking for it. But to coin experts, it's a huge deal. The 1992p close AM quarter is a result of this minting mistake. It's not something you'd ever expect to find in pocket change, which is what makes this story so amazing. How it sold for $1.2 million. Now, you might be wondering how a quarter with some close letters on the back could be worth over $1 million. Well, this is where rarity, condition, and demand all collide. Only a very few of these close AM quarters from 1992 have ever been discovered. Some experts believe there may be fewer than 10 in existence. On top of that, the coin in question was found in nearly perfect condition. It was professionally graded by a top-tier grading service and received a Mint State 67 rating. That is incredibly high for a coin that was never supposed to be rare in the first place because of its extreme rarity, its minting error, and the incredible condition it was in. This coin sold in a private auction for an estimated $1.2 million. That's not a typo or an exaggeration. A single Washington quarter that was never meant to be special became one of the most valuable modern coins ever sold. How to check your 1992p quarter? Now, here's the exciting part. You can check your own change to see if you have one of these rare coins. First, find any Washington quarter from the year 1992. Flip it over and look closely at the word America on the reverse. Pay attention to the spacing between the letters A and MIF. They appear very close together, almost touching. Then you might have the close AM variety. Next, look at the front and make sure the coin has a P mint mark that confirms it was minted in Philadelphia. If you think you might have one, do not clean the coin and definitely don't spend it. You'll want to get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. They can verify the coin's authenticity, check for the proof reverse, and assign it a grade based on condition. Even if your coin is not worth $1 million, it could still be worth hundreds or even thousands if it matches the error variety. Final thoughts. So there you have it, the incredible story of the 1992p Washington quarter that went from pocket change to $1 million masterpiece. This is exactly why coin collecting is so thrilling. It's the treasure hunt, the mystery, and the chance that one small detail can make all the difference. Keep an eye on your change. Check those old coin jars and take a closer look at any 1,992 quarters you come across, because who knows, maybe you're just one coin away from discovering your own $1 million story. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more coin facts, amazing stories, and tips on how to spot rare and valuable coins in your everyday life. Until next time, happy hunting and good luck with your next great find. Would you like me to format this into a teleprompter script or turn it into subtitles or video voiceover text? Let me know how else I can help you produce your video. Welcome back to the channel where we explore incredible stories behind coins that seem ordinary but are worth extraordinary amounts of money. Today, we're looking at one coin that shocked collectors across the country. The 1998 Washington quarter, minted in Philadelphia, UV, probably handled this coin before you might even have one in a change jar or coin roll sitting around the house. But did you know that one rare version of the 1998 Washington quarter has been valued at up to $1.1 million? Yes, $1.1 million for a 25-cent coin. In this video, we're going to dig into the history of the Washington quarter, what happened in 1998 that made certain coins so rare, the errors to look for, and how to check if you might be the lucky owner of one of these million-dollar pieces. Make sure you watch this video until the very end, because this is one coin you do not want to overlook. The history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932. It was first introduced to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design on the front or obverse of the coin shows Washington's profile and was created by artist John Flanagan for decades. The reverse side of the coin featured an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches underneath. This design remained in place for over 60 years and became one of the most iconic and recognizable coins in the United States. That all changed after 1998, when the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program in 1999. The 1998 quarter was the final year of the classic eagle reverse, and that gives it historical importance. But there's more. Some very unusual things happened at the Mint that year, and those mistakes turned some 1998 quarters into rare treasures. What makes the 1998 quarter so special? The letter P on the coin stands for the Philadelphia Mint, where this version of the Washington quarter was produced. Now, most 1998 quarters are worth face value, maybe a little more if they are in pristine condition, but a tiny handful of these coins have been discovered with an extremely rare and valuable minting error that has made them worth as much as $1.1 million. This error involves the reverse of the coin being struck using a proof die. Proof dies are typically used to make collector coins with a higher level of detail and a mirror-like background. These are never meant for circulation, but somehow a proof reverse die ended up being used on regular Philadelphia quarters in 1998. That mistake created what collectors call a transitional or mule error, a coin that was made using mismatched dies or wrong processes, and in this case the result was one of the rarest modern quarters ever discovered, the 1998 wide AM reverse. The key to $1 million coin. So how do you identify one of these valuable 1998 quarters? The answer lies in a small but critical detail on the back of the coin, specifically in the word America. Look closely at the spacing between the letters A and M. Most 1998 quarters have the close AM design, which is correct for circulation coins, but the rare error coins were struck with the wide AM reverse meant for proof coins. In those error coins, the A and M are more widely spaced apart and not touching at the base. This tiny difference is what turns an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. But it's not just about the AM spacing. Some of these error quarters also have sharper details and slightly different finishes due to the proof die. These features, combined with the wrong spacing, make them highly valuable, especially if the coin is in mint state condition. How it reached a value of $1.10 million. Now, you might be wondering how a coin with just a small design variation could sell for $1.1 million. It comes down to rarity, condition, and demand. Only a few examples of the 1998 wide AM error are known to exist, making it incredibly rare. That kind of scarcity sends collectors into a frenzy, especially when we're talking about modern coins that were minted in the hundreds of millions. Next is condition. The most valuable known 1998 wide AM quarter was found in near-perfect mint state condition, graded by a professional grading service. It received one of the highest ratings possible and had almost no signs of wear or damage. Finally, the demand in the collector market continues to grow. People are constantly on the hunt for modern rarities, and when one of these coins came up for sale, a bidding war broke out, leading to a final estimated price of $1.1 million in a private sale. How to check your 1998 quarter? Here's how you can check your own 1998 quarter to see if you might have struck gold. First, look at the front of the coin for the P mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, flip the coin over and closely examine the word America in the phrase United States of America. Use a magnifying glass or zoom in with your phone's camera and look at the space between the A and M. If the A and M are clearly spaced apart and not touching at the bottom, You may have the wide AM error. Also examine the rest of the design. Proof dies create coins with sharper details and sometimes a more polished surface. So if your coin looks especially crisp, it could be another sign. Lastly, weigh the coin. A normal 1998 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. Any major variation in weight could also indicate an error, like being struck on the wrong planchet. If you think your coin matches these signs, do not clean it and do not try to sell it casually. Instead, contact a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin graded and possibly even help you get it to auction. Other valuable 1998 quarters. Even if your coin isn't one of the wide AM errors, other valuable versions of the 1998 P quarter exist. There are double die errors where parts of the lettering or images appear slightly duplicated. There are off-center strikes, coins struck on wrong planchets, and other mint mistakes that can each bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition and rarity. High-grade uncirculated 1998 P quarters, even with no errors, can sell for over $100, especially those graded MS-67 or higher. Final thoughts: the 1998 P Washington quarter is a reminder that even modern coins can hold incredible value. It might look like a basic piece of change, but a small error in design or production can turn it into a million-dollar treasure. If you've got a coin collection or a stash of old change, now is the perfect time to check it, especially if you have quarters from the late 90s. You might just be holding on to one of the rarest and most valuable quarters in circulation. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing coin stories, facts, and collecting tips. Until next time, keep hunting and good luck finding that $1,000,000 coin. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version for TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or if you want this turned into a voiceover script with pacing suggestions. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the most surprising stories in coin collecting. Today, we're diving into a coin that almost every American has handled at some point: the 1992 Washington quarter, minted in Denver. Rarest coins. At first glance, it looks like any other pocket change, just a 25-cent piece you might toss in a vending machine. But what if I told you one version of this coin sold for over $1.4 million? Yes, that's $1.4 million for a quarter. You may have one sitting in a jar right now. You may have already spent one without realizing it. But don't worry, because in this video we'll explore everything you need to know about this incredible coin, including its history, what makes it special, and how you can check if you have the $1,000,000 version. Let's get started. History of the Washington quarter. Before we jump into the 1992 D quarter, let's talk a little about the Washington quarter series itself. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design featured a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse side and an eagle with wings outstretched on the reverse. The artist behind the original design was John Flanagan, and his work stayed on the quarter for decades until the state quarters program began in 1999. By the early 90s, the U.S. Mint was still using the traditional Washington design, and in 1992, three major mints were producing quarters: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The Denver Mint's coins are marked with a small letter D on the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. The 1992 D Washington quarter is part of this long tradition, but something unusual happened during that year that would later send shockwaves through the coin collecting world: the rare 1992 D close AM quarter. So, what makes the 1992 D quarter worth $1.4 million? In rare cases, some of the 1992 D quarters were struck using a reverse die intended for proof coins. These proof dies are made with extra precision and are normally used only on coins made in San Francisco for special collector sets. But somehow, one of these proof reverse dies was mistakenly used at the Denver Mint, and it resulted in a small number of regular circulation quarters being struck with a proof-style reverse. This created what collectors now refer to as the 1992 D close AM quarter. Now, let's talk about what close AM actually means. On most regular business strike quarters, the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are slightly spaced apart. But on proof coins, those letters are much closer together, almost touching. This small detail is the key to identifying the valuable error. Most people would never notice it unless they knew what to look for. But to coin experts and collectors, that tiny spacing makes all the difference. Why it's worth so much? Let's be honest, $1.4 million is a lot of Money for any coin, so why would someone pay that much for a quarter? The answer lies in three things: rarity, condition, and demand. First, the rarity. Only a few of these 1992 D-close AM quarters are known to exist. Some experts believe there may be fewer than 10 ever found. That kind of scarcity drives value up tremendously. Second, the condition. The most valuable one ever found was in absolutely pristine shape. It was graded as mint state 67, which is an incredibly high grade for a coin that was meant for regular circulation. Most coins from 1992 show signs of wear from use, but this one looked like it had never even left the mint. Third, the demand. There are collectors who specialize in rare mint errors and transitional varieties. They're willing to pay top dollar for the best and rarest pieces out there. And when a coin this rare and this good of condition comes to market, the bidding can reach incredible heights, and that's exactly what happened with the 1992 D-close AM quarter, one of the finest examples known to exist, sold in a private sale for an estimated $1.4 million. How to check your 1992 D quarter? Now here's where it gets exciting, because you can actually check your own quarters at home to see if you might have this hidden treasure. Step 1. Flip over your 1992 D quarter and look at the word America on the reverse side. Focus on the spacing between the letters A and M. If the letters are close together, almost touching, then you might have a close AM variety. Step 2. Look at the front of the coin for the D mint mark, which tells you it was struck in Denver. That's important because this particular error only applies to 1992 D quarter. Step 3. Check the condition of the coin. Is it still shiny? Does it have minimal scratches or marks? The better the condition, the more it could be worth. Step 4. Weigh the coin. A standard 1992 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours weighs a little more or a little less, that might indicate a planchet error, which can make it even more valuable. And finally, if you believe you might have a close AM quarter or any unusual variety, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Instead, contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and give it a certified grade, which is essential for collectors and auction houses. Other valuable 1992 D quarter sits. Worth mentioning that even if your 1992 D quarter isn't a close AM error, there are other valuable versions out there. For example, some 1992 D quarters have double die errors where parts of the design appear doubled under magnification. These can also bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how dramatic the error is and the overall condition of the coin. Also, coins that are struck off center or on the wrong planchet, such as a dime or foreign coin planchet, can be extremely rare and collectible. Even high-grade examples of normal 1992 D quarters can be valuable if they are in mint state condition. Some have sold for several $100s simply because they were preserved in nearly perfect shape. Why coin collecting is more exciting than ever. The story of the 1992 D-close AM quarter is a perfect example of why coin collecting is so exciting. You never know what's out there. A small detail can make a huge difference, and a simple quarter that most people overlook can turn into a life-changing discovery. It also shows the importance of paying attention to the little things, because while most 1992 D quarters are worth just 25 cents, a tiny handful could be worth more than $1 million. Final thoughts. So here's the bottom line. The 1992 D Washington quarter is usually just a regular coin you see every day, but one rare version with a close AM error and near-perfect condition sold for an amazing $1.4 million. Check your change. Look through your old coin jars, grab a magnifying glass, and start hunting. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new or enjoyed the story, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos about rare coins, valuable errors, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Until next time, keep your eyes open and happy coin hunting. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a voiceover script or trimmed down for short-form video content like YouTube Shorts or TikTok. Welcome back to the channel, where we explore some of the most surprising and valuable coins you might already own. If you've ever sorted through your spare change or old coin collection, then today's video could be life-changing. We're diving deep into the story of the 1988 D Washington quarter, a coin most people assume is just a regular 25-cent piece. But what if I told you that one rare version of this coin has sold for an unbelievable $1.3 million? That's right, a single quarter from 1988 minted in Denver has made headlines in the coin collecting world for its insane value. And the best part is this error coin might still be out there waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. In this video, we'll go over the history of the 1988 D-quarter, what makes this coin so special, how to spot the rare $1 million version, and how you can get your coins professionally evaluated so you don't miss out. Let's jump right in the history of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design, by John Flanagan, features a left-facing portrait of Washington on the front and an eagle with outstretched wings on the back. This classic design stayed in place all the way through the 1990s, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. By the time 1988 came around, the Washington quarter had already become a fixture in everyday life, used in vending machines, parking meters, and just about every transaction under $1. But while millions of these coins were minted, most of them were completely ordinary. However, there was one batch of 1988 D-quarters that were anything but ordinary. What makes the 1988 D-quarter so special? The 1988 D Washington quarter was minted in Denver and can be identified by the small letter D located on the front of the coin to the right of George Washington's ponytail. Now, here's where things get interesting. At some point during the 1988 production cycle, a small number of these quarters were struck using mismatched dies or possibly even on the wrong type of metal planchet. The result was an extremely rare mint error that caused the coin to appear slightly different from the standard version. The most famous of these rare 1988 D-quarters was later discovered and authenticated by experts who confirmed it was struck on a transitional planchet left over from previous years. This unexpected error, combined with the high grade and near-perfect condition of the coin, turned it into one of the most valuable quarters in American numismatic history. And yes, it eventually sold for over $1.3 million in a private collector sale. How a 1988 D-quarter reached $1.30 million. You might be wondering how a simple mint error could push the value of a quarter this high. It all comes down to three key factors: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Only a tiny number of 1988 D-quarters with this specific error are known to exist. Some believe there may be fewer than 10, making it incredibly scarce. Second, condition. The most valuable coin was graded mint state 67, which is nearly perfect for a coin intended for everyday circulation. That means it was preserved without scratches, dents, or wear, which dramatically increases its value. Third, demand. Error coins, especially those with transitional metal planchets, are highly sought after by collectors. They represent unique moments in minting history, and collectors are willing to pay premium prices to own them. Combine those three factors, and you get a coin that looks simple on the surface, but becomes a $1 million treasure in the hands of the right collector. How to identify the rare 1988 D error quarter? Now, here's the exciting part. You might be able to find one of these rare coins yourself if you know what to look for. Start by checking the date. Make sure your coin is from 1988 and that it has the D mint mark for Denver. Next, flip the coin over and examine the edge. A standard clad quarter has a copper core, and you'll usually see a copper stripe along the edge of the coin. If your 1988 D quarter has no copper stripe and looks silver all the way through, you may be looking at a coin struck on a silver or transitional planch. Another clue is the weight. A regular 1988 quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin is heavier or lighter than expected, that could point to a mint error. Use a digital scale that reads to the hundredth of a gram for the most accurate reading. Also check for any doubling in the letters or numbers, unusual surface textures, or off-center designs. Any of these may signal a valuable mint error. If you suspect your coin is special, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value. Instead, submit it to a professional grading service, such as PCGS or NGC. They'll be able to authenticate the error, assign a grade, and even help connect you with auction houses or buyers. Other valuable 1988 D quarter errors. Even if you don't have the exact $1.3 million coin, there are still other 1988 D quarter errors worth a significant amount of money. Some examples include double die obverse errors, where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled. Off-center strikes, where the design is pushed to one side. Broad strikes, where the coin is flattened without its typical rim-clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is literally missing. These types of mint errors can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $1,000, depending on the severity and condition of the coin. So, don't overlook your 1988 quarters. They might seem ordinary, but the right one can still fetch serious money. Why coin collecting is more relevant than ever. Coin collecting isn't just about history or hobby anymore. It's also about hidden potential. You never know what valuable error could be sitting in your change jar or Coin Roll Collection the 1988. D. Washington Quarter is proof that modern coins can still surprise us a simple mistake at. The Denver Mint over 3 decades ago turned a 25-cent piece into a $1 million marvel, and that same possibility exists every time you check your change. Final thoughts. So, let's recap most 1988. D. Washington quarters are worth 25 cents, but a rare few with minting errors, especially those struck on transitional planchets, and in pristine condition, have sold for jaw-dropping amounts, including one that went for over $1.3 million if you want to check your own. Quarters look at the edge, check the weight, and study the details very closely. Any unusual signs could mean you're holding a hidden gem. If you find something that looks out of the ordinary, get it evaluated by professionals. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into rare coins, valuable finds, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and good luck on your next coin hunt. Let me know if you'd like this formatted for voiceover pacing or trimmed into a shorter version for YouTube Shorts or TikTok.